Ashia Davis was shot in the head. Video showed a man at the hotel running from her room.
June 2nd, 2023, 1:30 a.m. A door swings open at the Woodward Inn, a corner room in Highland Park, Michigan. Blood pools on the floor. A woman lies face down, her back turned to the world she was about to serve. This wasn't a robbery. This wasn't random. This was something far more calculated. Ashia Davis, a 34-year-old black trans woman, had just graduated nursing school days before. She was supposed to start her dream job that week. Instead, she became the 12th transgender person murdered in America in 2023, and it was only the start of Pride Month. Have you ever trusted someone completely, only to realize you never really knew them at all? Ashia did, and it cost her everything. The gun was fired at point-blank range. The shot came from behind. She never saw it coming. But someone did see the killer leave, and that blurry footage would become the key to cracking a case that haunted Detroit for nearly a year. Phone records showed he armed himself with a loaded weapon before he even arrived at that hotel room. This wasn't rage. This wasn't spontaneous. He planned this. The question isn't just who killed Ashia Davis. It's why he armed himself before he even got there. If you think people who execute others in cold blood deserve to be forgotten, keep scrolling. But if you believe her story matters, stay with me. Or don't. Maybe silence is easier. How many people do you know who would kill to keep a secret? Welcome to True Crime Footprint, where we unveil the darkest mysteries and the most terrifying true crime tales. Kindly hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss any of our new stories. Your support keeps these stories alive.
As a homicide victim lays dead in this Highland Park motel, a man is caught on surveillance video running.
When we talk about the LGBT community's marginalization, trans women of color specifically experience the most violence.
Friends of the victim, Ashia Davis, a 34-year-old transgender woman, are speaking out in hopes that someone, anyone who knows something, will not remain silent.
Just asking the community to come forward. But I'm confident that somebody in the community is going to recognize whether the jacket, the pants, the distinguishing shoes, the way that he walks.
Michigan State Police released this video from the night of the homicide. It shows a possible suspect walking and running in the parking lot at the Woodward Inn. The suspect in the video is wearing what appears to be a blue hooded sweatshirt or jacket, black Adidas jogging pants, and black Nike shoes.
Clearly he was on foot, so it has to be somebody that wasn't too far or had somebody waiting for them.
It's not how members of the LGBTQ plus community thought they would be spending Pride Month searching for the person who killed one of their own. But as this person remains on the run, advocates say everyone should be concerned.
No one should feel safe. We don't know if this is a first-time occurrence, if this person has got away with it before.
Before she was a victim, Ashia Davis was known as Charm, and anyone who met her understood why. She wasn't just surviving. She was thriving. A recent nursing graduate, a devoted Christian, a woman who gave away her own clothes and jewelry to anyone who needed it more. Her brother Alante called her someone who was ready to take on the world. Her mother saw her as her only child in the way that matters most, the one she poured everything into. Ashia had a Yorkie named Clyde. That dog was her world. She posted about him constantly on Facebook, and friends said she treated him like family because, to her, he was. But here's the thing about being a black trans woman in Detroit. You can have a degree, a dream, a dog, and a future all lined up and still end up at a cheap motel on Woodward Avenue because safety is a luxury not everyone can afford. Ashia checked into the Woodward Inn alone that night. She wasn't alone for long. Surveillance footage showed someone approaching her room. Someone in black Adidas joggers with a white stripe. Someone with a walk so distinct, detectives would later use it to track him down. But before we get to who he was, you need to understand where this happened, because Highland Park isn't just a city. It's a warning. If you believe Ashia's life mattered, if you think her story deserves more than silence, hit that like button. Because every time we ignore these deaths, we tell the next victim they don't matter either. Would you have ignored the red flags, or would you have been the one person who saw them? The 911 call came in at 1:30 a.m. An open door, a body on the floor, and a scene so brutal, even seasoned detectives had to step back. Highland Park police arrived at the Woodward Inn to find Ashia Davis dead in a corner room. The door was wide open, blood everywhere. EMS tried, but she was already gone. The Wayne County Medical Examiner confirmed what investigators suspected. This wasn't a struggle. This wasn't self-defense. The bullet entered the back of her head while she was sitting on the edge of the bed. She had her back turned. No defensive wounds. No signs of a fight. Prosecutors would later call it what it was, an execution. Here's what makes this worse. Ashia's dog, Clyde, was missing. For days, her family didn't know if he was taken, hurt, or dead. Losing someone you love, and then realizing even their dog is gone. That's the level of cruelty we're dealing with. Surveillance footage showed a man in a blue hooded sweatshirt, black Adidas joggers, and Nike shoes running from the scene. His walk was so distinct that forensic analysts used gait analysis to match him to other footage in the area. Phone records later revealed he had armed himself with a loaded weapon before he even arrived at the hotel. This wasn't a crime of passion. It was premeditated. But it would take nearly a year to find him. And when they did, the truth about why he killed her was even more disturbing than how. Look, if you're still not subscribed, drop a comment and tell me why. What's stopping you? Honestly curious. Or maybe you just don't care. Either way, let me know. If someone you loved was killed and no one was looking for their killer, how long would you wait before you stopped believing in justice? For 9 months, Ashia's family waited. Her mother, devastated. Her brother, demanding answers. Her community, furious. Highland Park Police transferred the case to Michigan State Police because they needed specialized resources. Digital forensics, gait analysis, hundreds of hours of surveillance footage. Detectives combed through phone records, hotel logs, and witness statements. The breakthrough came from that blurry video. The suspect's walk, his attire, his digital trail. Investigators cross-referenced everything until they had a name. Carlos Lamar Scotland. A 17-year-old from Highland Park who was 18 by the time they arrested him in March 2024. But here's where it gets messy. Carlos's brother, Joshua Martin, tried to interfere with the investigation from inside jail. He was charged with obstruction of justice and inciting perjury, trying to get witnesses to lie and provide an alibi for his brother. This wasn't just one person covering their tracks. It was a family conspiracy to let a killer walk free. At sentencing, Jaleesa Abad, a trans advocate and friend of Ashia, gave a victim impact statement that gutted the courtroom. She said, "Men fall in love with us in private and kill us in public." She called out the shame, the attraction, the violence. She made it clear, this murder was about more than one man's hatred. It was about a culture that teaches men to fear their own desires so much, they'd rather kill than be seen. Carlos Lamar Scotland pleaded guilty to second-degree murder. But the sentence he received? That's where this story takes its final turn.
Carlos Scotland, a confessed killer, walks into court for his sentencing. The 19-year-old pleaded guilty in November to killing 36-year-old Ashia Davis, a transgender woman of color, in her room at the Woodward Inn in Highland Park on June 1st of 2023.
Her beautiful, infectious smile and bubbly personality was taken away from us on the first day of Pride.
Jaleesa Abad, trans advocate and friend of Ashia Davis, says just as Pride Month was getting underway, a celebration of the LGBTQ community, Ashia Davis was shot in the head. Video showed a man at the hotel running from her room.
Only 2 people were in that room that night, and will ever know the true events of what happened. What we will know is that Ashia Davis was shot execution style in the back of the head and left for dead.
Abad remembers racing to the scene when she found out a transgender woman had been killed, only to find out it was her friend.
The last memory that I have is seeing my friend on the floor outside of the hotel corner room with blood streaming all over the floor.
Months of investigation led to the arrest of Carlos Scotland, who was just 17 at the time of the crime. Abad says the stigma surrounding the transgender community leads to homelessness, unemployment, and too many people are forced to turn to sex work to make money.
The sad reality is, particularly in the Black and brown community, men that are enamored with trans women cannot be themselves and have to resort to loving us in private and killing us in public than have anybody know of their association with us.
Abad says Ashia Davis had hopes and dreams. She was studying to be a nurse, but Carlos Scotland took that all away, pleading guilty to second-degree murder, sentenced to 17 to 30 years behind bars.
He's being held accountable for the crime that he did, so for that I am grateful. I want my community to continue to be vigilant and come forward and report these crimes so that we can continue to get justice.
If you think this case was mishandled, if you think more people need to know what really happened, share this video. Ashia's story doesn't end with her death. It ends with what we do next. Does a guilty plea erase the violence? Or does it just mean he knew he was caught? January 2025. Carlos Lamar, Scotland, now 19, stood in court and heard his fate. 17 to 30 years in prison. 2 years mandatory for the felony firearm charge. Then 15 to 28 years for second-degree murder. It wasn't life. It wasn't death row. But it was something. For Ashia's family, it was a small piece of justice in a world that rarely gives them any. And Clyde? He was found, reunited with Ashia's family. One small piece of her world that survived the violence. Here's what this case teaches us. Ashia Davis was ready to take on the world. She had a nursing degree, a faith that kept her grounded, and a heart big enough to give away everything she had. But she lived in a world where being herself was dangerous, where loving someone could get her killed, where checking into a motel on Woodward Avenue could be the last decision she ever made. Carlos Lamar, Scotland, didn't just take her life. He took her future, her patience, her community, her dog's owner, her mother's daughter. This was the 12th transgender person murdered in America in 2023. 12 people. And we were only 2 days into Pride Month. The same month meant to celebrate visibility became a month of mourning. To Ashia's family, her friends, and everyone who loved her, your pain is seen. Your loss is real. And Charm's light will never be forgotten. This story matters. And so do the ones we haven't told yet. If you stand against people like Carlos Lamar, Scotland, if you believe stories like Ashia's deserve to be heard, subscribe and turn on notifications. Every story we don't tell is a lesson someone else will miss. What's your take on this? Drop it in the comments. I'm reading every single one. And if this story hit you, hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Don't let her story die twice. Was justice really served? Or did the Real villain walk away untouched? To everyone who made it to the end, thank you for watching, for your attention, and for joining us on this journey of reflection. Stay informed, stay vigilant, and above all, stay safe. See you on our next video.